Welcome to another episode of Diaspora Dad. I have a special guest here. He is a military professional and a healthcare specialist, and he's a father. Please help me welcome Michael Ohobase. Michael, welcome to the
Hey,
show.
Jigo, I'm very pleased for you inviting me over. And you've always been a good brother to me and everybody. So let's get this talk show rolling.
Awesome, awesome. Well done. All right. So, Michael, what does home mean to you? Does it mean where you're at now or where you come from?
Well, I'm gonna say it's a little mixture of both. So it's where I am right now and also where I come from. So a home, let me go deep a little bit into our African heritage. A home is meant to be built on love, happiness, joy, religion, and everything it takes to be a man. You try to impact your, offspring as much as you can. Try to do the best for them so that when they also grow up, they'll be able to, pass that on. And that's why I always ask and pray for generational blessings.
Well said. Okay. So, what does Nigerian mean to you now that you've been in the United States for many years?
Now, Ninja, hmm, Ninja no they carry last. I'll start off with that one. So, um, the good part is at least we know our roots, we know where we came from. I was born and bred in Nigeria before I came out here. So Nigeria will always still be home for me. My family as well. We all came from Nigeria before we relocated. I came to settle here in order to get greener pastures. So it's still where I come from. It's still where I was born and bred. Still where I, was raised. My siblings, my mom, my uncles, my aunties, everything about me, cultural, um, tradition, religion, friends, family. Basically, could sum it up. That's been a greater part or aspect of my life, at least for over 35 years before I came in the country. So I'm saying everything about Nigeria will still be top notch to me. It's where I come from originally, but then, this is where God has led us to. So we just have to keep giving thanks for where we are right now today. And I still always love my country or my home country, which is Nigeria. The lessons you even learn from that country alone is enough to take you places. But then you also have to stay focused and, have a goal, have a game plan. It might not go as planned for all of us or the way we intended to go. But then again, like I said, we still got to give thanks because whatever upbringing or training I have had all my years back in Nigeria is what has gotten me to where I am today. So I have to say I have to give thanks to my parents, OG, Rolling Stone to be precise, because it's what has really his training or his own fatherhood is what has gotten me and my siblings to where we are today, basically. And we thank God as well for everything that He has made possible for us.
Very well said. Speaking of OG, your dad,
Yeah.
how was your dad? And what impact did he have on you growing up?
So my dad had a whole lot of impact in not just my life. I'll say his family's life. He might not have been too friendly with outsiders, but then he gave us basically the basic training that every father would like actually love to have passed on to their kids. And like I says, one or two things I can remember, like myself, I was always growing up. Maybe this is something I've never really said to people, but there's something you always see me doing, which is always taking notes.
Yes.
Every time I always take notes.
Right.
So I'll tell you now that lesson I got from my father. Because he was probably always trying to tell me, okay, go get this, or asking me a question, and I'd be like, "Oh, I can't remember, I've forgotten." So he had to tell me, well, if you keep forgetting, then get a jotter,
Hmm.
the pen, and start writing it down. And I've been doing that since probably SS1. So I'll say I've been doing that since when I was probably 15, 16 years old. I'm 46 years old now. It means if I've not even learned any lesson in life, that alone has helped me for the last 30 years of my life, just having to write something down. My dad was good, he made sure we got the best in terms of like education, at least send us to like private schools, high institutions, we got the best of the best training we could get, our upbringing. And social wise, I'm gonna say everything about me and my siblings socially is something that okay we got from our parents as well. So in terms of protecting us, education, health, even taking vacations. I can still remember growing up, it wasn't an easy task for people to always take their families out the country, like, going to London and all that. So those are things my father or my mom or my parents actually were able to do, to make us have that satisfaction. And they did their best, to make us happy, did their best to just make sure we had everything that we wanted and kept us in that position not to feel greedy or start looking outside at what other people have or what other people have. So let me say another thing. I'll say he actually was a contentment. Is something else that he preached, and just love being there for one another, trying to make sure we all stay together. And it's life has been challenging. We have to admit that part, but Rolling Stone has always been a good man. Some people might not look at him like, oh, maybe he wasn't too nice to them, but I'll say he's the best dad you could ever get. So, and I thank him, fam. Rest in peace, OG. And we continue to miss you wherever you are. Just continue to stay blessed and continue to watch and protect over each and every of your kids, your family that you left behind.
Well said. I mean, that's a great depiction of your father that you just stated. Um, what part of Nigeria is your father from again?
Edo State, Benin, Oredo local government area to be precise.
Okay, so I know that in that Benin area, there's a king, a mighty
Oh
kingdom.
yes, that's Alba. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at you guys are looking at royalty here. Okay,
Oh
I brought
yes.
royalty to the podcast.
Alba talk me, yeah. Let's add that to the mix.
Okay, so now for you personally, how has becoming a father changed you?
Becoming a father, that comes with a whole lot of responsibility. But then you see, this is where you also want to look back in time and, reason with all the training and upbringing you also receive from your father. That's why I said we always ask and pray for generational blessings. So it's not been an easy task. Having kids in this world now is even expensive to start with. I think this is looking after a child now costs at least like I can't remember if it was like $250,000 per year. So that's already an investment as it is. So you have to be grateful. Having kids is always a blessing, however way you want to look at it. So I thank God for the kids I have. I love my kids. I really appreciate them. Me being a father to them, I hope I will have blessings from, God and the upbringing I also had to be able to make them become better people as they also grow old to be able to pass that on to their own generations and their generations are able to pass it to the generations coming after. So this life is just, too easy and simple. One day we'll all leave. Just believe it's just try to be the best man you can be. Try to be the best person you can be. Love your kids. Give them the best you can, and I'll say I'll rather try to do and aim, further to do way better than maybe whatever my father or my late dad um wasn't able to fulfill. So I'll say,
Okay, said, well said. Now, I've had the privilege to have met your children. I see they're very talented, right? They do a lot of dance and
very grateful for that.
competition,
Yeah.
sports. But is there something that they've taught you new lately?
Hmm. So my daughter, so she's the IT specialist.
I see.
I wouldn't even say new lately on a daily basis. Anything that has to come to IT stuff, she's always there. I have to always reach out to her. Then besides that, in terms of like, generally speaking, they've taught me to, love more. They've taught me to be more patient in terms of, how we deal with life and how we approach things. So having kids will discipline you basically. If you want to be a good dad, or a responsible parent, put it that way. In order for you to be there for the kids, you also have to do the right thing. Fine, we are not all perfect, but then, you try to give and pass over an impact the best attributes that you can to your children so they could also grow up to become better people in this lifetime.
Nice one. Very well said. All right. So I know you have a son, you have a daughter.
Yeah.
How do you connect with them similarly and differently?
Okay, now see that's a little bit tricky. Similarly and differently. Um, so you have to have love for your kids. Anyways, I'll speak for myself. You have to balance that love. You cannot try to make maybe I can't make my son make my daughter see that okay, maybe I'm being favorable over one person. You gotta like try to balance the equation and then try to build that respect between them. My daughter's older than my son, so you also have to know how to like balance okay, boy, girl, older and younger. And I'll say just try not to be partial in the way you deal with the kids because you might not think they're observing all these little things, but trust me, every little thing counts and it matters because it will still make a big difference later on in life. So similarity, let me see, let me try to use an example in there. In terms of like school, in terms of like sports, you try to put them in something that they love to do and you want to keep pushing them and try to support them in every possible way. And show that love to them that okay, you dare to you dare, you just have to be there for them. That's why you're here. That's why you're surviving right now. That's why you're living right now. So whatever we're doing, we gotta make sure the kids feel loved and they feel um we're contributing and supportive in whatever they do.
Well said. So, Michael, do you have any fears raising Black children or African children in America?
Oh, yes, this is America, my brother.
Yes.
This is the United States of America. So long before inception, long before we ever came here. No, like I'm trying to be negative, but it's everywhere in the society out here. There's always going to be, some racial difference. And I would not say I have a problem with it. It's just all about, like I stand to be corrected. This is where I say you have to have an impact on your children's lives. So they might view, um, let me say racism in a different way. They have um, classmates. It's normal out here when they go to their schools, they treat African children some type of way, some way different. But then again, at home, you have to also, try to drive that message to your kids. Look, you got to remember where you're coming from. Try not to let stuff like that get to you. Fine, you're still young, but this is just the world we live in. Even when you're trying to take it up to the next level, you still, one man cannot, make a difference. You need a whole lot of people. And in terms of population,
Right.
you want to know that you're very, very far away from where you stand. So your best bet is to actually, try to position yourself and try to relate with your children on how things operate out here. So we came to this environment, we also have to blend into the culture. This is how things have been. Find that is that saying of if you can't beat them, join them. But what can I do? I can't come here and make a difference. And my children can come here and make a difference. Not like we can make a difference or have an impact in society. But when it comes to like how, they view racism in this country, you just have to be cautious and try to avoid anything that will bring any negativity around you, is what I'm saying.
All right. So, obviously, you are raising children in a country and a culture different from your own. So, do you have any non negotiables about your culture that you want to instill in your children?
Oh, yes. As a typical Nigerian, can I speak broken English here?
Of course, why not?
My brother, my sister, as a typical Nigerian, at least if there's nothing you're going to do for your children when they get here, or if they actually giving birth to here, respect. That is one thing, at least as a typical Nigerian or as an average Nigerian, respect that tradition, that culture. You might not be able to, get them going in everything or every department. And I still hail, families that even when they get here, they're able to still make sure their children even understand how to speak the language or understand the language, like, Igbo, Hausa, or Yoruba. Well, it doesn't happen with everybody. Like, I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't understand my, my father's language. So there's no way I'll be able to pass that over to my children to learn. But that's why I said that's one thing I've already missed out on. So also have to, like, try to capitalize on other, culture or values of life that I also um learned growing up. I also have to pass that over to my children, even though they're in America, which is, a country of free speech, a country whereby, you can't really do too much to the kids. You just have to instill that that respect for your elders. Not even just elders, just something we call respect. It's something that's been inbuilt in almost every Nigerian that we wish we keep, carrying over and transferring over to generations to come.
So your father was probably a lot like my father. These great men,
Oh
they
yes.
definitely, disciplined us
Oh yeah.
when they needed to.
Mhm.
But with our own children,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for the thousands of diaspora Nigerian people and African people out there that have children when it comes to discipline? Do you make adjustments when you're disciplining your children?
I'm gonna say yes, that you cannot leave out of the books. Um, we're in a country whereby our children already there's already diversity of, like, culture in the society. So you have, like, different people from different backgrounds and different ways of lives. So in terms of disciplining, I believe, and I'm not saying discipline to the point whereby you whooping the child back to the slave era. It's just all about knowing how to communicate with your children. Fine, you cannot still, spare the rod and spoil the child. Your child might do something to a point whereby, if, just as a typical Nigerian, if that child needs to get maybe one or two spanks, I believe if they need to get disciplined, they need to get disciplined. Because if you don't straighten them out now, we already know how this country is. They could easily go astray. And if you don't put your feet down while they're still young, you start giving them the opportunity to, take advantage of the situation or the environment they also find themselves. So you want to instill that discipline in them at a very young age. Try to, like, find, you don't have to monitor and go into deep, but the little things you see around that they do, that as you as a parent, you're supposed to know and observe, like, okay, I need to straighten this out and, put this child in the right direction.
Well said. All right. So you have a teenage daughter.
Yes.
The conversation you had with your daughter when she was 5
Yeah.
apparently would be different now that she's a
Oh yeah.
teenager. So,
Time change.
so did you face any obstacles, or was the transition even for you with that conversation, right? Was it easier, or was it more difficult? Tell us about that.
So you see how, yeah, there's this thing that's always, like, I don't know if it happens in every family, whereby the men always, get more attached to their daughters, and the women always get more attached to their sons. So long as you have that good bond, and I believe I and my daughter, we've always had that bond from child from day one that she came into this, life. So I'm say it was easy, and I'm so glad my daughter actually listens to me. So I don't know how to put it. If it's the the relationship that I've shared with her from birth, that she's just still, in tune with, or if it's just the father figure of me that she has to, like, respect. But in terms of the way me and my daughter communicate, we have a good communication, and I like that about how things have been going between me and her. Because, this country, like, when they get to a certain age, they don't even want to listen to what their parents say. But I still thank God me and my daughter have that good rapport and good relationship, and she listens to what her parents say, and I'm grateful for that.
Fantastic. Can you tell us maybe a few proud moments you've had being a father?
A lot of proud moments. Always a lot. In fact, every day is a proud moment. Just seeing the kids, that's the drive for me. That's what keeps me going. said I wasn't going to bring any child in this world to come, not feel happy or suffer. And I thank God I'm doing my best to keep them where they are. So, example of a proud moment, I'm gonna say like my daughter whenever she wins awards, or my son whenever they come back with good grades from school. That makes you happy. That keeps me going. That's part of what's the drive that keeps me. This country is not really that easy because it's all more about work, work, work. But we still try to find time in between to like balance, that work, family, and friends, having time, or a little bit of socialization basically is what I'm gonna say. So them winning awards, them just staying being healthy, them just being happy makes me happy. So I thank you for that.
Fantastic. Very good. Now you mentioned the whole balance, right? Work, life, and all that. You were in the Air Force.
Yes, I was.
Okay. So tell us, I mean, how did you find yourself in Air Force? Was it part of the plan or did life happen? Tell us about that.
Now that's a sweet story. So let me see. Um it wasn't the plan. The actual plan was for me to be a cop. And if I can remember vividly, you're one of the people that advised me about, I'm not advising you not to become a cop, but cops in this country, they're actually targets. So my whole perspective was, to be a uniform man, but I saw myself as actually being a police officer. But then I couldn't even apply for a police officer because at the time you needed to have your citizenship in order for you to be able to join the police force. And I was already in the process of getting my documentation, but I said, I can't really wait. What's the best way to become to join a force or become you know, an officer in the
Right.
country without having to wait? My best route was to actually go join the military, and I decided to join the Air Force, which was felt okay. We could go start flying and doing some things out there. But then again, growing up, I've always had something about me that's always wanted to be a part of a force, a police officer, just in a way of trying to help people, try to save people. I don't know, maybe I already watched too many Indian movies or action movies from back in the days that was gingering me to be like, oh yeah, I want to become this.
Yes.
But it's something that's always been a part of me. And, I thank God it's something I was able to achieve and partake in.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for your service,
Thank you very
obviously.
much. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
In my very first video, I mentioned that there are so many military personnel that were born overseas
Yeah.
that currently serve.
Mhm.
And they've been at the forefront of,
Journey, the whole mission.
exactly.
Mhm.
And you look at even someone like Colin Powell, who was one time the defense, Joint Chief of Staff leader. His parents, I believe, are from Haiti or something like that. So it's good for people to see people like you and hear your stories because you guys are right out there, making America great
I'm
again.
telling you, that's what
Yeah,
we're here for. And we thank God we were able to also sacrifice, that time. And I actually even believe it's something that if you have children, I believe it even if it's them signing up for maybe like 2, 3 years, it's actually been a good journey because it sets this discipline in you. It keeps you apart from most other normal citizens, It just gives you that standard to life. But everybody has a time frame for when, how much they want, how much or how long they want to spend there.
right,
I went in with the intention of, building a career out of it. But then again, he said, man proposes and God disposes.
right.
So we all find ourselves where we need to be. But it was a great experience. I cherished it. It built me, a whole lot in terms of being time conscious, well mannered, being respectful, looking sharp, just there to protect and to serve, your country. So I thank God for that period and that phase of my life as well.
Oh, fantastic. So, Michael, would you agree that being in the military, being in the Air Force,
Yeah.
did that influence you positively regarding being a father?
Oh yes. In fact, as per my Niger, you know
Yes.
how we do. I'll save the story for another time. But being in the military has really impacted my life in a whole lot of positive ways. I can tell you that it's shaped me in terms of actually being a father as well, a father figure. It's not just the cultural or traditional part of me for being a Nigerian. That's okay. The lessons I've had from way back. I'm also say yes, being in the military for years has also taught me lessons, and that's one other discipline they try to inculcate in you, being a good family man. So I would say that's one good lesson I learned from there. Trying to be a responsible man to my wife and my kids.
Fantastic. How did your wife and your kids react to the idea of you, joining the Air Force?
They were they loved it. Just the fact that, oh, you're a fast man, from where we come from, the fact that you even a yellow fever, they look at that person like with some, atom of respect, like this person is in uniform. And really like back home, we don't really carry arms like that. So when they see someone like a soldier holding like an AR-15 or an AK-47, I don't know whichever one they use back home, but basically it's something they really appreciated, they were happy about. And they've been supportive all through. And I thank God this is where you building a family. You got to show love and compassion in house. Basically, just keep doing what you got to do to make your family happy and take things to the next level.
Oh, well said, brother. Now, speaking of children, right? Your kids again. Um, do your kids understand any native language, whether it's Yoruba or Hausa, or are they into like traditional foods and dress? Tell us about that.
Okay. Um, Let me see. So, like myself now, I understand and speak Yoruba and Hausa. Um, my son understands and speaks Yoruba.
Yes.
My daughter doesn't speak Yoruba, but she understands a little bit of Yoruba, but not as much as my son. And the main one is the broken English. At least that a normal thing. Every Nigerian begins to start how to speak broken English. So they do it okay though in terms of that. And like I said, I don't understand or know how to speak Benin. I wish I'd learnt one or two things from. Not like I don't know one or two things like Dolly by come and eat. One of the things, but I just wish there was more to me, or understanding and knowing how to speak.
Okay, well said. So, like Michael's talking about these languages, these are major African languages. Like
Yeah.
Yoruba is not just spoken in Nigeria, it's spoken in Togo, it's spoken in Benin Republic.
Yep.
And the Benin Republic is named after where his father is from, the Benin
Benin
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
So, in Africa, there's so much history. So that's why I'm glad that people like us in diaspora can showcase it, small, small for you people. All right. So, now in your own household, how do you keep your culture alive, you and your wife? How do you guys keep it alive among yourselves and with your children?
Now, first thing I'll say is this is where you also have to like tend to speak that language a little bit in the house. Um, I guess this is where I was able to, where I and my siblings were able to like pick up on speaking and understanding Yoruba,
Yes.
because my dad and my mom are always speaking it in the house.
Yes.
So my wife is Yoruba. I'm half Yoruba, but I'm from Edo State originally. Um, but that language that my folks used to speak, and then the Hausa again. So me and my wife don't speak Hausa. The only thing we can speak is Yoruba. So I
Yeah.
think that's where the kids are able to like, be able to still stay in balance. Because without that little time that they get to hear us speaking that language, I don't think they'll really be getting any of that back in school, except if they're with their, cousins, which they only gonna be out there
Speaking.
playing and doing their own thing. It's not like they gonna be trying to speak nothing. So that's the only way they go and pick. And then like the other cultural values that we have, like I said, maybe in terms of like, respect, just learning to love and appreciate our own, cultural heritage from where we come from. Whatever you do, we say monkey see monkey do. Our
Right.
kids will always follow through in whatever they see us doing. At least let's say at the good part, the good things. We don't pray for any child to pick up on maybe any, social ill or
Right.
negativity. So we just gotta keep doing what we gotta do, stay positive at all times. And we pray and ask God to continue to let us live longer to be able to watch over them and give them the best possible training they can get.
Oh, well said, brother. Okay, so in my household, I do get a little bit of pushback from my kids regarding African rules, even though it's very, very friendly. For example, I would say, okay, this evening, we go chop fufu, farina, right? African food. And they're like, oh, again, why can't we go to Roadhouse?
So
So-
I think the difference there is, you see, this is the difference with you actually having your kids here.
yes,
So because you had your kids here,
yes,
my kids, this is where maybe like, they had a little bit of that culture, that tradition, that our food.
yes,
So it's something that's already part. Not like the like Eba now.
yes.
They, in fact, that is the mission is even getting to come and eat it. Or maybe eat pound a day. Something
right.
solid, our solid food.
Hmm.
Um the funny part is you have to force them or try to drag them to come and eat that food. But the way they will sweep the plate clean
Yes.
when they are eating the food and be asking, is there still more? That is where that upbringing from back
right.
home comes into play. So I think the difference is because they were given back to back home before coming here, they already have a taste of what it's like from there.
I see.
So it's easier for me to like tell them, oh, this is what we eat here. And they might just throw a little bit of resistance, but as a parent, you're already like, don't worry, you've been eating all the fries and all that lately and pizza.
Yes.
So it's time to get a little bit of our cultural food in this stuff.
Well said. Okay. So how you advise some parents like you here, right? With kids that whether they're born here or even born back home,
Okay.
when they are pushing back against certain African rules, how do you think is the best way to respond since we did Yankee, we're in this America?
Yeah, so like we always say here they have their rules out here as a country whereby they let the kids do what they want to do, but this is where I'm gonna say you don't have to use any iron hand. You just have to be a little bit assertive, is what I'm gonna say, and this is where the kind of relationship you build with your children from birth actually comes into play. Because if I think I want to believe if you've been a little bit like, laid back with them and trying to live the American way, well, you're just going to get a little bit of the laid back ways and how the kids out here do things. But then, like I said, you don't have to really be bringing no koboko, as we say back in our days, out
Yes.
to use it to, you know, touch the kid or whoop the kid. All you got to do is a way. I think you just have to look for a way to communicate. That communication plays a lot. With me and my kids, I really thank God they hold me in high esteem. Like they already know what daddy doesn't like from what he likes. That doesn't mean they are not bound to make mistakes. We all
Right.
will make mistakes. We're not perfect. I will make mistakes even as a parent. I might make maybe the wrong decision in terms of okay, how I discipline a child. But then this is where we also have to remember that we are humans. We're bound to make mistakes, but it all depends on how you correct things and lead by example.
Oh, well said. I know you as being a exceptional father.
Thank you for that, bro.
You
Same way too, man.
oh, thank you,
I'm
thank
so
you.
exceptional. Gotta give that one to as well.
Thank you, thank you. You know? Now I have to ask you this question.
Yes, man.
What are there things that you as a father, because I think about this myself, are there things as a father you think you could do better? And if so, what are those things?
Yes, I can't lie now. That would be. We all wish we could do better. Even when you even come out with the millions or the billions, we're
Yeah.
still never satisfied. You want to aspire to keep doing better, to keep being the best person you can still be. This is why I said try to be the best man you can be. Along the line, nobody ever said this journey of being a father or parenting was just gonna be, yeah, you just being laid back.
Right.
There are gonna be challenges that come. All you gotta do is just take it one day at a time and do your best. Do your best to make the kids get the best out of life.
Oh, fantastic. Very well said. Okay, let me ask you this. If there's one thing that you hope that your kids can take from you in this life, what would that be?
Being compassionate. Being compassionate would be the best thing I would say that you should take. Now, not being stupid, but compassion is what I think we all need in this world that we live in today. There's just too much negativity going on, too much wars going on here, even back home. with the situation with the terrorists,
Right.
the kidnappers, the ritualists,
Yes. Tribalism.
tribalism. There's a whole lot going on, even where we are in America today. And this is why I feel, you know, compassion and maybe love is something we all as human beings need to really build on and work on. And I think that compassion and love has to start from home. Because if it doesn't start from home, where you are, by the time the kids even go to school or you go to work, there's going to be a whole lot of challenges when you're out there. So I'll say being compassionate
Oh,
is
very
something
good.
I need everybody to like take, or my kids should be able to build on and work on to become, better people in this lifetime.
Oh, that's well said. Very
Yeah.
well said. All right. Final question. What legacy are you? This is a two-part question. What legacy are you trying to leave behind? Number one. And what advice would you give fathers like ourselves that are watching? Maybe they're here in the US, UK, Canada, wherever. What legacy should they be striving for?
The legacy I want my children to have about me will be to have, a lasting impression, a lasting impact. The same legacy I want to believe my late father, Rolling Stone OG, left behind
Yes.
was because every day I still have to feel, not like I have to, but you have a feel of him, which means he had a great impact on me. Because if he never had a great impact, I wouldn't be there, thinking back in time sometimes like, oh, my dad did this for me, or my dad was able to see me through this, period. He was able to protect me here. So just having that lasting impact for my kids to feel, oh yes, my dad did this and he was there
Right.
at this point in time. So we all gonna leave, but I want to pray that when I leave, not just my kids, everyone that I've been surrounded by should feel me same way. I also want to, have a feeling for when any other person that I've grown up to love or being a family member around me to have that lasting impact also about me.
Fantastic. All right, brother.
Yes, brother.
Look, this was such a great
It
conversation.
was always a pleasure,
I'm
Chigo.
very grateful.
It's a pleasure, bro.
Oh, thank you.
In fact, let me throw this in. If you guys don't know this man, you know what? This is the best man you can get. I'm telling you, you can't get any other better person than this. Way from before I even came in the country, from when he came, we struck it off immediately. First time me and Chigo met, Chigo's always been a good brother-in-law. He's always been, a good person. In fact, I'll say you can't get people like him around. I thank God for all my, brother-in-laws. I'm always grateful for that. But Chigo, like I said, has been there from before I even came in the country. From when I came in the country, he's been of help, assistance, financially, you know, um, advice. In fact, just taking a good shape in this country. So I'm grateful for a brother-in-law like Chigo. So I pray and hope that, this roundtable talk, this is something you've always been talking about, you want to do.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm
yes.
glad you kicked it off, and I'm happy you set up everything. I know it hasn't been an easy journey, but I'm proud of you, brother, because it's not easy when people want to, start something. It's in this country, you got to stay committed. You got to dedicate time. You got to put in finances into it. So what you're doing, I got to give you 100, bro, even 120 set for this matter. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. And keep on going. May God continue to bless you and have you the
Amen.
bless your works in
Amen.
Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Michael.
brother.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
I call it a human. That's our personal day. Now the whole world knows it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Okay. This is a great guy. And if you have any questions, or where can people, if they want to follow you on social media, what's your handle?
So low caps, Mr. Silk 0616.
All right, there you
Thanks a
go.
lot, Chigo, for hosting me.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you for having me on a platform, for being able to just, speak my mind. Who knows? Nobody knows where this video is going to be in a couple of years from today. Or at least there's something on the archives.
Exactly.
So in case we pass away, always remember what's here.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Well, I'm Chigo, your Diaspora Dad, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you once again.